The year is 1987. The automotive landscape is changing. Emission regulations are tightening, fuel economy is becoming more important, and the golden age of the American muscle car seems to be fading into the rearview mirror. But from an unexpected corner of Detroit, a revolution is brewing, one that would challenge everything we thought we knew about American performance cars. Most people think muscle cars need a big, thirsty V8 to earn the title. They picture Mustangs, Camaros, and Challengers with massive engines rumbling under their hoods. But what if I told you one of the most feared street machines of the 1980s packed just 6 cylinders? And what if I told you that today, modern muscle cars are proving that 4 cylinders can deliver performance that would put many classic V8s to shame? This is the story of how American manufacturers turned conventional wisdom on its head, proving that cylinder count isn't everything when it comes to building a true performance machine. The Grand National Revolution. Let's start with one of the most remarkable chapters in American automotive history, the Buick Grand National. While not technically a 4-cylinder, it packed a turbocharged V6. This car set the stage for everything that would follow the world of smaller displacement American muscle. When people think of Buick in the 1980s, they usually picture comfortable, conservative cars driven by doctors and retirees. The last thing anyone expected was for Buick to produce one of the most ferocious performance cars of the decade. But that's exactly what happened. The Grand National story began modestly. In 1982, to celebrate its NASC 8R success, Buick released a special Regal model called the Grand National. Just 215 units were produced, and most had a naturally aspirated 4.1-liter V6, making a mere 125 horsepower. It was mainly an appearance package with a unique two-tone gray finish, black accents, and red pinstriping. But something interesting was happening behind the scenes at Buick. Engineering teams were experimenting with turbocharging their 3.8-liter V6 engine, work that had actually begun back in 1973 when a young Buick engineer named Ken Baker started a Boy Scout Explorer program at the Buick Engineering Department. This seemingly innocent project would eventually lead to one of the most feared muscle cars of the 1980s. By 1984, Buick unveiled the true Grand National, an all-black Regal with a turbocharged 3.8-liter V6 producing 200 horsepower. The sinister appearance and impressive performance immediately caught attention. Buick had found a way to create serious power from a smaller engine through forced induction, a technique that would become increasingly important in the decades to follow. The Grand National continued to evolve. In 1986, an intercooler was added to the turbo system, boosting output to 235 horsepower and 330 pound-feet of torque. This was enough to make the Buick quicker than the contemporary Corvette in a straight line, an achievement that reportedly caused considerable consternation within General Motors. But the true legend was born in 1987 with the release of the GNX, Grand National Experimental. Developed in partnership with McLaren Performance Technologies and ASD, the GNX was the ultimate expression of Buick's turbocharged wizardry. Officially rated at 276 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque, the GNX was significantly underrated. In reality, it was producing closer to 300 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. The results were astonishing. The GNX could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4.7 seconds and run the quarter mile in the high 12-second range at speeds of around 113 miles per hour. These numbers weren't just impressive for a 6-cylinder car. They were downright revolutionary. The GNX was quicker than virtually every production car available in America at the time, including V8-powered Mustangs, Camaros, and even the Corvette. It could even outrun exotic cars like the Ferrari Testarossa in a straight line. What made the Grand National and GNX special wasn't just their performance, it was how they achieved it. In an era when conventional wisdom dictated that more cylinders equaled more power, Buick proved that advanced engineering and forced induction could extract remarkable performance from smaller engines. The Grand National and GNX weren't just fast cars. They were a vision of the future, where automakers would increasingly rely on turbocharging to balance performance with fuel economy and emissions requirements. The modern four-cylinder revolution. Fast forward to today, and the lessons of the Grand National have been fully embraced by American manufacturers, with four-cylinder engines now delivering truly impressive performance in modern muscle cars. The Ford Mustang EcoBoost represents the most direct application of this philosophy. Introduced with the 6th-generation Mustang in 2015, the EcoBoost model is powered by a turbocharged 2.3-liter four-cylinder engine. In its current form, this engine produces an impressive 315 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, more standard horsepower than any base Mustang in history. To put that in perspective, the EcoBoost Mustang makes more power than a V8-powered Mustang GT from the early 2000s. It can sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 5 seconds and complete the quarter mile in the low 13-second range. These are numbers that would have made it one of the quickest production cars in America just a couple of decades ago. The Chevrolet Camaro, before its discontinuation in 2024, also offered a turbocharged four-cylinder option. Its 2.0-liter turbo engine produced 275 horsepower and could propel the Camaro from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 5.4 seconds. While not quite as powerful as the Mustang EcoBoost, it still delivered performance that would embarrass many V8 muscle cars from the 1960s and 1970s. What's remarkable about these modern four-cylinder muscle cars isn't just their straight-line performance, it's their overall capabilities. Thanks to their lighter engines, they often offer better weight distribution and more nimble handling than their V8 counterparts. A four-cylinder Mustang or Camaro can be a more balanced and responsive sports car, especially on twisty roads or tracks. Modern engineering has also addressed one of the traditional shortcomings of smaller engines: character. Through careful exhaust tuning and other enhancements, today's four-cylinder muscle cars deliver an engaging driving experience that, while different from a V8, is compelling in its own right. The technology behind the power. How exactly do modern four-cylinder engines extract so much performance from such small displacements? The answer lies in a combination of advanced technologies that have transformed engine design in recent decades. First and foremost is turbocharging. The principle is simple. Use the engine's exhaust gases to spin a turbine, which in turn compresses the incoming air, allowing more oxygen into the combustion chamber. More oxygen means more fuel can be burned, resulting in more power. While turbocharging isn't new, the Grand National proved its effectiveness decades ago. Modern turbo systems are far more sophisticated. Variable geometry turbos, twin-scroll designs, and electronic wastigates allow for much more precise control over boost pressure and virtually eliminate the turbo lag that plagued older systems. Direct fuel injection is another key technology. By injecting fuel directly into the combustion chamber, rather than the intake port, engines can operate with higher compression ratios and more precise fuel delivery, improving both power and efficiency. Variable valve timing and lift systems allow engines to optimize breathing characteristics across the rev range, effectively giving them multiple personalities: efficient and docile at low RPMs, aggressive and powerful at high RPMs. Computer control systems tie everything together. Modern engine control units monitor thousands of data points per second and make constant adjustments to ignition timing, fuel delivery, boost pressure, and more to extract maximum performance while maintaining reliability. The result is four-cylinder engines that produce more power per liter than even the most exotic engines could manage just a few decades ago. The Ford Mustang's EcoBoost engine, for example, produces around 137 horsepower per liter, a figure that would have seemed impossible for a production car engine in the muscle car era. The debate: what makes a muscle car? Of course, the rise of four-cylinder performance cars has sparked debate among enthusiasts. Can a four-cylinder car truly be considered a muscle car? Doesn't the very definition require a big, burly V8? Traditionalists often say no. A true muscle car needs a V8. They'd point to the classic definition: mid-size American cars with large displacement V8 engines, designed primarily for straight-line speed. By this narrow definition, four-cylinder cars don't qualify, regardless of performance. But others take a more performance-focused view. If a car delivers the visceral acceleration and emotional experience that defines muscle cars, does it really matter how many cylinders it has? The Buick Grand National challenged this notion in the 1980s with its six-cylinder engine. And modern four-cylinder performance cars continue to push these boundaries today. Perhaps the most reasonable perspective is that muscle car is as much about character and purpose as it is about specific technical specifications. The spirit of the muscle car has always been about delivering accessible performance to everyday drivers, democratizing speed in a way that exotic European sports cars never did. By that measure, cars like the Mustang EcoBoost carry on the muscle car tradition, even with fewer cylinders. They deliver thrilling acceleration at a relatively affordable price point, wrapped in a distinctly American package. It's worth noting that even during the golden age of muscle cars, manufacturers offered six-cylinder options in models we consider muscle car icons. Not every Mustang, Camaro, or Challenger left the factory with a V8. These six-cylinder variants may not have captured the spotlight, but they were part of the muscle car ecosystem. The future of American performance. As we look to the future, smaller displacement, turbocharged engines are likely to play an increasingly important role in American performance cars. Environmental regulations continue to tighten, and fuel economy remains a concern for many buyers. The Buick Grand National, once considered an outlier, now seems prophetic. Its approach, extracting maximum performance from a smaller engine through advanced engineering, has become the template for modern performance cars. With the Chevrolet Camaro's production ended in 2024, and the Dodge Challenger now reimagined with an inline-six engine or electric powertrain, the Ford Mustang stands as the last traditional V8-powered American muscle car in production. Even the Mustang lineup now includes the four-cylinder EcoBoost alongside the V8 GT models. This shift doesn't signal the end of American performance. Far from it. It represents an evolution, a new chapter in a story that has always been about innovation and adaptation. Just as the original muscle cars were responses to the driving desires and market conditions of their era, today's performance cars reflect contemporary challenges and opportunities. Will we ever see a four-cylinder car that can match or exceed the performance of today's V8 monsters? It's certainly possible. The march of technology continues, and engineers are finding ways to extract ever more power from smaller displacements. What's certain is that the spirit of American performance, the democratization of speed, the celebration of straight-line acceleration, the distinctive character that sets American cars apart from their European or Asian counterparts, will continue regardless of cylinder count. The untold story of America's four-cylinder muscle cars is really the story of automotive evolution. From the pioneering Buick Grand National, which proved that forced induction could allow smaller engines to deliver big performance, to today's sophisticated EcoBoost Mustang, American manufacturers have constantly adapted to changing conditions while staying true to the core mission, delivering thrilling performance at an accessible price point. Whether you define muscle cars narrowly by their cylinder count or more broadly by their performance and character, there's no denying that today's turbocharged four-cylinder performance cars deliver acceleration that would have been considered supercar territory just a few decades ago. Perhaps the greatest compliment to these cars is that they've earned respect on the street and track not because of what's under their hood, but because of what they can do. In the end, performance is performance, regardless of how it's achieved. The next time you see a Mustang EcoBoost at a stoplight, remember, cylinder count doesn't tell the whole story. American ingenuity has proven time and again that performance can come in unexpected packages, and the tradition of accessible speed that defined the original muscle cars lives on today, even with fewer cylinders. For those who appreciate American performance cars, these are exciting times. The technology continues to evolve, the performance benchmarks keep rising, and the thrill of acceleration remains as accessible as ever. The muscle car isn't dead. It's simply transformed, ready for whatever challenges the future brings. If you enjoyed this deep dive into America's fastest four-cylinder muscle cars, Please take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more automotive history and performance car content. Your support helps make videos like this possible.